Welcome back to another video on the French excellence. This is a part 3 of our verb conjugation series. In this video, we will be discussing how to conjugate IR ending verbs, which are the second category of regular verbs. Just like ER ending verbs, IR ending verbs also have a basic structure of how we conjugate them. We take the stem and we add certain endings just like ER ending verbs, but the endings are separate. Now to get the stem of an IR ending verb, we take the verb and subtract IR from it. For example, if we had finir as a verb, we would subtract IR from finir and be left with fin. And now, for conjugating IR ending verbs, we add the various endings as per the subject. For example, if it's je, we add is, and if it's tu, we also have is. If it's il, l or on, we add it. If it's nu, we add issons. If it's vu, we add iss ez. If it's il or l for the plural, we add iss ent. But again, we do not pronounce the ent. Now let's look at an example with the verb finir. Finir means to finish, and now here are its conjugations. Je finis, which means I finish. Tu finis, you finish. Il finit, he finishes. Elle finit, she finishes. On finit, we finish. Nous finissons, which also means we finish. Vous finissez, which means you finish. Il finissent and elles finissent, which both mean they finish. Now here are some sample sentences with these conjugations. Je finis mes devoirs, I finish my homework. Tu finis tes devoirs, you finish your homework. Il finit ses devoirs, he finishes his homework. Elle finit ses devoirs, she finishes her homework. On finit nos devoirs and nous finissons nos devoirs, both mean we finish our homework. Vous finissez vos devoirs, you finish your homework. And ils finissent leurs devoirs or elles finissent leurs devoirs, which both mean they finish their homework. Now with every regular verb, there have to be some irregular verbs with the same ending. So in this case, we will be giving example of some exceptions. Now the first exception we will be taking into consideration is the verbs which end with E and IR. Now let's look at venir for this. Venir means to come and it's also ending with E and IR. Now the conjugations are as follows. Je viens, tu viens, il vient, elle vient, on vient, nous venons, vous venez, il vient, and elle vient. Now as you can see, the entire endings are different. For the forms of nu and vu, it is following the conjugation of ER ending verbs, and for the remaining form, it's a mix of both IR ending verbs and ER ending verbs. Okay, so as you can see, they're not adding the is, but they're adding the I before the E for other forms. Yes, and now here are some sample sentences with venir. Je viens à la maison, I come home. Tu viens à la maison, you come home. Il vient à la maison, he comes home. Elle vient à la maison, she comes home. Then on vient à la maison or nous venons à la maison, we both mean we come home. Vous venez à la maison, you come home. Il vient à la maison and elle vient à la maison, both mean they come home. Now here is the second example with E and IR ending verbs. So here is for venir. As you can see, it's the same conjugations, just the V has been replaced with the T. This rule will be the same for other verbs. Yeah, so je tiens, tu tiens, il tient, elle tient, on tient, nous tenons, vous tenez, ils tiennent, and elles tiennent. Right? Yeah. And then here are some sample sentences with these conjugations. Je tiens un verre, I hold a glass. Tu tiens un verre, you hold a glass. Il tient un verre, he holds a glass. Elle tient un verre, she holds a glass. On tient un verre, we hold a glass. Nous tenons un verre, we hold a glass. Vous tenez un verre, you hold a glass. Ils tiennent un verre, they hold a glass. And elles tiennent un verre, which also means they hold a glass. Okay, so after that, we have the second set of irregular verbs, which are the LLIR ending verbs or FRIR and VRIR ending verbs. Okay, so now for these verbs, we get the stem of sentence in the same way, but the endings that we add are separate. As you can see, for je we add E instead of IS. For tu we add ES instead of IS. and for il, l and o we add e, so these are following the er ending verb conjugations. Then for nu, vu, il and l also we are adding er ending verb conjugations. Now let's look at some sample sentences for this exception. The first example we will be using is the verb couvrir, which is VRIR ending verb and means to cover. Je couvre, tu couvres, il couvre, then elle couvre and on couvre. Then comes nous couvrons, then vous couvrez, il couvre and elle couvre. Now as you can see, the endings added on are the ER ending verb endings, but not the IR ending verb endings as I had shown previous. Okay, so now we will be looking at some sample sentences. Je couvre ma tête avec un chapeau. Okay, then tu couvres ta tête avec un chapeau. Il couvre sa tête avec un chapeau. Elle couvre sa tête avec un chapeau. On couvre sa tête avec notre tête avec un chapeau. Nous couvrons notre tête avec un chapeau. Vous couvrez votre tête avec un chapeau. Ils couvrent leur tête avec un chapeau. And elles couvrent leur tête avec un chapeau. Now let's look at the second example, which we will be using the verb offrir, which means to offer. Now here are the conjugations of offrir. J'offre, tu offres, il offre, elle offre, on offre. Then nous offrons, vous offrez, il offre and elle offre. Now let's look at some sample sentences with offrir. J'offre des fleurs à ma mère. I offer flowers to my mother. Tu offres des fleurs à ma mère. You offer flowers to my mother. Il offre des fleurs à ma mère. He offers flowers to my mother. Elle offre des fleurs à ma mère. Then on offre des fleurs à ma mère. Nous offrons des fleurs à ma mère, which means we offer flowers to my mother. Then vous offrez des fleurs à ma mère. You offer flowers to my mother. And il offre des fleurs à ma mère, or elle offre des fleurs à ma mère, which both mean they offer flowers to my mother. Now let's look at the third example, for which we will be using the word cueillir. Now that means to pick. Now here are the conjugations as follow. Je cueille, tu cueilles, il cueille, elle cueille, then on cueille, then comes nous cueillons, vous cueillez, il cueille and elle cueille. Now here are some sample sentences with this verb. Je cueille les fruits frais. I pick the fresh fruits. Then tu cueilles les fruits frais. Then il cueille les fruits frais. Then elle cueille les fruits frais. Then on cueille les fruits frais. Then nous cueillons les fruits frais. Then vous cueillez les fruits frais. Then il cueille les fruits frais and elle cueille les fruits frais. Now let's look at the third exception, which is with verbs like partir or similar to them. So for partir, we find the stem in the same way. For verbs similar to partir also this is the case, but the conjugations are as follows. For je and tu forms, we remove t and then add s. For il, l and o, we don't add anything and just use the stem as it is for the verb conjugated form. Then for nu, we add ons to the stem. For vu, we add ez. And for il and l, we add ent. Now let's look at the example with partir as the verb. Partir means to leave, and here are the conjugations. Je pars, tu pars, il part, then elle part, then on part, then nous partons, then vous partez, then il part, and elle part. Now let's look at some sample sentences. Je pars aujourd'hui. I am leaving today. Tu pars aujourd'hui. You are leaving today. Il part aujourd'hui. He leaves today. Elle part aujourd'hui. She leaves today. On part aujourd'hui. We are leaving today. Then nous partons aujourd'hui, which also means we are leaving today. Vous partez aujourd'hui. You are leaving today. And il part aujourd'hui or elle part aujourd'hui. They are leaving today. Now let's look at the second example, which we'll be using the verb dormir, which means to sleep. Now the conjugations of dormir are as follows. Je dors, tu dors, il dort, and elle dort, and on dort, all with the same conjugation. Then nu dormo, vur dorme, and il dorm and el dorm. Now let's look at some sample sentences. Je dors tôt. I sleep early. Tu dors tôt. You sleep early. Il dort tôt. He sleeps early. Elle dort tôt. She sleeps early. Then on dort tôt. We sleep early. Nous dormons tôt. We sleep early. Vous dormez tôt. You sleep early. And then il dorm tôt and elle dorm tôt, which both mean they sleep early. That is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and see you in my next video where we will be talking about RE ending verb conjugations and exceptions. Have a great day.